Okay.
So I guess it's on me to apologize for the second part coming out later than we wanted it.
Oh, forget that. It's fine. It's fine. You know what?
Well, I'm glad you asked you.
You know what? We are doing a public service, okay? We have gone through everything. So this is like our definitive Twilight stuff. Yeah. Oh, by the way, all right. My issue that I need you to agree with on me, okay? Am I a bad person for eating someone else's crinkle-cut garlic fries while he was in the bathroom?
No.
Okay, so here's the thing. He went to the restroom, had to take a call, right? And these were like crinkle-cut garlic fries, Rita, from a little hole-in-the-wall burger place, which, automatically makes it better. But I gave him my dill pickle, and I offered to share my onion rings. And apparently that was not enough to make up for eating all of his crinkle-cut garlic fries because he only had 2 before he went to the restroom.
So I have 2 arguments that you can use.
Okay.
One, it was a mistake to leave his food once it came out. What was he thinking? Number 2, honestly, it would have been a disservice to the culinary arts and to whoever made these fine fries if they were left to get cold, because that's what would have happened. It would have been left cold, and then he would have come out and ate cold, soggy fries. You spared him from that horror, and you made the fries worth it. The potatoes that were slaughtered to make those fries were given justice.
Yeah, apparently coming out and saying I'm a goddamn hero for eating and sparing you cold fries was bullshit. And then I just fell back with, dude, you left me alone with your fries. Do you not know who I am?
Would Bella have eaten Edward's fries if he could eat?
I love how you bring it back around. You know what?
No, but they're on the pedestal for the perfect relationship, and Edward thinks he's his perfect patient boyfriend. What would he have felt if he came back and Bella had eaten his garlic fries?
Garlic crinkle cut fries. They are...
Jeez, I love when you're saying crinkle cut too.
Oh, because you're a goddamn adult. You don't eat crinkle cut fries, huh? Too good for my fries.
You have to specify it's crinkle cut. That's pretty funny.
That makes it superior to other fries. The crinkles.
Listen, I'm on your side. I just want to know if you think that Edward would be pissed at Bella if he came out and she ate, what was the thing that he loved? The mountain lion? Mountain lion.
Okay.
If he came out and Bella had eaten his mountain lion, how would he feel?
Okay, I have to admit that I have pulled the guilt trip on my friends and went, you went and had fudge without me? That's our thing. Why don't you? It's like the Pope having sex in the Vatican with somebody else.
We are so Catholic. That even comes up, and then I understand it. It's just so disturbing.
What, man? What?
Where did we leave off with our Twilight?
Hating on Bella and Edward? I know, that doesn't help.
Just moved on my line, excuse me. No, it doesn't help. That's literally what we could do from the first page to the end. I think you said from where, and we're not going to go chapter by chapter.
No, fuck that.
We're just going to really bash here.
We're at the baseball game. We are at the baseball game.
So, the baseball game.
Finally!
So, I don't remember exactly what we said last time, but basically it comes out in the book that the Cullen family decide to play baseball. That's their favorite pastime because that's what vampires love to do. And it's not just the Cullen family because during the game they come in contact with a different vampire clan who also enjoy playing baseball during storms. Because when vampires play baseball, it's not your average baseball game. No, they make noise that would alarm people around them. So they wait for storms, thunderstorms, to cloak or to cover the sound. So during this baseball game, Bella, who we know is athletically challenged, sits out and she's watching them play.
Oh no, she's umpire.
Oh, excuse me, she's umpire, excuse me. No, she's not. She's on the sideline talking to Esme.
No, but she's the one who tells them, like, they're out or something, or is it just a movie thing?
I don't remember now. Oh, I don't know. Regardless, she's there, and she's useless, and the game is stupid, and she's got the hots for Edward, and she's mesmerized, and whatever, and in the movie, they play Muse's Supermassive Black Hole, and which is an awesome song, and they ruined it for me, because every time I listen to it, I just picture the baseball game. And while they're playing, people who are vampires who are meat eaters, stumble upon them with their red eyes. And the vampire Cullen family immediately try to hide Bella's presence because they know she just smells that good. Her strawberry scented blood is just too much of a draw for any vampire, meat eating or vegetarian, if you will. And so they hide her, and then unfortunately one of them smells her, and it all goes to shit.
Yes.
Here's our turning point of the novel.
And you have to wait until chapter 18 for this. In this book, right, that has like 24 chapters plus a prologue and an epilogue, so we'll round it up to 26 chapters, I guess. Mm-hmm. You have to wait that long for any kind of action to happen. Chapter 18.
A lot of people argue or feel like the book is boring because of that there's no real conflict or action until then, and they say that even that is pretty lame.
Yeah, and if we were talking in movie terms, you have to wait till almost the third act for any kind of action to happen as well.
Right.
And I think we're just going to cram the rest of the Twilight Saga in here. I don't think we want to revisit this again. But it's like in Breaking Dawn, right? How they divided it into 2 movies, trying to copy Harry Potter.
They did that for Eclipse too, didn't they?
I'm not sure.
They did.
I know they're going to do that for the last 50 Shades of Grey movie. You bet your ass they're going to try to divide that movie in half.
I think that's my dick because I'm not watching that.
Am I on my own finishing 50 Shades of Grey?
Probably not, because I'm probably going to watch it, but at this moment I feel like I have to say that I'm not watching it.
And I know they did that for Hunger Games, but like in Breaking Dawn Part 2, right? Mm-hmm. It's this build up to this huge vampire war. And it turns out to be a vision that Alice gave Michael Sheen. Sheehan.
You don't even know when you freaking no, but in the books when you get there, that didn't happen.
No, even more lame.
It's even more lame. You're there in the scene and you think that shit's about to go down. And
finally.
And yeah, finally, like, let's get this to be a kick-ass scene at least, right? And nothing happens. Everything is just calmly resolved. Things go on and things are perfect. And you're like, seriously? That would have at least given some credibility or fun element to this fucking saga. And I want to say something.
Mm.
I feel like Twilight changed the way that young adult books went, and also adult books, that all of a sudden everything was a fucking series. I got so pissed off every time I picked up a book, and it wasn't just the book. That, like, authors could no longer, wrap their stories up by the end of one book. They had to extend it to 3 or more books, and it just really irritated me, and that was the trend every time. And that was also a period of time where I was going through a lot of young adult books. That was kind of my favorite to read because my friend worked for a publisher, and she would get free copies, and she would send them to me in a lot. She worked in the young adult department, and that was really what I was reading at the time, and I was getting so frustrated because every book I would pick up, it would be like, oh, the end would be like, wait until next time, and you'd have to, a year or more, and by the time the next book came out, it's kind of like how I feel about Game of Thrones right now. Next series won't come out until 2018, and by that time, I know I'm going to forget everything that just happened. I said, wait, can I just tell you this also? Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
But I spent a chunk of the beginning of this season confused as to what happened to that guy Daenerys was hooking up with. I had no idea where he was, and I was so confused. You know the guy? What's his
Dario.
name? Dario, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, where is he? I don't remember what happened to him. And my sister explained it, and I forgot again, and was like, shouldn't he be involved in this? What happened to him? So that's how I feel about those book series where they couldn't, it becomes a cash cow. And we know that from the last time that we were talking about this with Stephanie Meyer, that Twilight was a dream for her.
Yeah.
So all of this extended stuff was just even New Moon. I mean, really, she spends how many pages are completely blank to express Bella's depression when Edward leaves her because he feels like he's too dangerous for her.
And
she extends this.
No, you're absolutely right. It's overly extended to the point that it makes you want to scream, right? All right. One thing I have to point out, and maybe this is just because I'm an asshole or I want my vampire heroes to be the one to do it, but Edward does not kill James. Alice does.
Oh, right. Because Edward is so in love and consumed with his perfect soulmate bond with Bella,
mm-hmm.
and that he cannot take care of James himself. He must make sure that Bella stays human and does not become vampire, and effectively what Edward feels like happens when she becomes a vampire, lose her soul.
Yeah, so James had this whole thing that I'm going to use Bella for bait. I'm going to lure Edward here. Oh, I want the ultimate showdown between me and him. No, actually, it was Alice, Jasper, and Emmett who took him out. And I'm like, Edward, you couldn't even kill him? It was, oh no, Bella, what has he done?
Yeah, and it's funny to me because is it the worst thing if she became a vampire? I remember thinking that through all the books, because that's really the major conflict that goes through at least the first few books.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Bella wants to become a vampire, and Edward thinks that she should stay human forever, and he should just let her get old
mm-hmm.
and die naturally, and then he'll kill himself. Because that's great.
Oh yeah, because he swears that his heart isn't going to go on beating or not beating or whatever past hers, and I'm like, is it really? That's it?
This connects to New Moon, which opens up with them reading Romeo and Juliet in English class, and which kind of provides the context for the rest of the book. They celebrate Bella's birthday, which she expressly asks them not to do. Jasper, who is Edward's brother in the family, is known to be a lot more inclined to become a meat-eater vampire because of his background, and he's the newest one practicing their vegetarianism. And Bella is at this birthday party. She's opening a present. She gets a paper cut. Jasper freaks the fuck out.
Okay, that paper cut in the movie is the most ridiculous paper cut I've ever seen. I paper cut myself, and it looked. Do you remember that, Rita? Her paper cut, she's dripping down her arm.
Yeah. It's industrial paper, apparently.
What kind of birthday card did they give her? Was it trimmed with razors or something?
And going back to all of their special talents, Alice's special talent is the ability to see the future, but it comes with a caveat. She can only see the future if you've officially made your choice. If you're indecisive, the future is blurry. You can make one decision and at the last minute change your mind, and she can no longer see the future. How fucking dumb is that? That's like if I decided to paint my nails red.
Uh-huh.
All day I was like, I'm going to put red nail polish on. And Alice would walk around and say, oh, Rita is going to use red nail polish for her nails.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe 5 minutes before I decide to paint them pink, Alice will suddenly get a message and go, oh, Rita is now changing.
No, okay.
It's so dumb. What's the point of having that special power?
No, but here's the thing, right? Alice didn't see the future before, after they like licked that envelope closed to be like, oh, you have decided to lick that envelope. Bella is going to get a, I don't know, paper cut that's going to bleed her down fucking arm. Don't do it because then Jasper will go crazy.
It's just so ridiculous. And so anyway, after that, Edward decides that they're too risky to her. He comes up with this whole story about how he's never really loved her and he's just been using her. He's going to remove himself and his family from her life. They completely erase all traces of themselves in Forks, Washington. Bella goes through a severe amount of depression. She takes herself away from everyone. And this is when she begins to start really hanging out with Jacob. I don't even know if we should give a summary for all the books.
No.
Basically, this deteriorates, honestly, into a horrendous love triangle between Edward, who eventually comes back, and Jacob, who we find out is becoming a werewolf and eventually becomes a werewolf. Jacob is in love with Bella. He's really vindictive.
No. It turns out he didn't really love Bella. He loved
her ex.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He loved her eggs.
Bella eventually becomes pregnant with Edward's child, which everyone and their mother, who was even semi-interested in this saga, started investigating how this was possible because, you know, they're vampires and they're dead. But whatever, she becomes pregnant with his vampire child, Renesmee, which is a combination of her mother's name, Renee, and Edward's mother's name, Esme. She has her, as soon as she has her, Jacob imprints on her and falls in love with her. It is the creepiest thing.
Even creepier than the CGI baby.
Oh my god, I remember that my friend who I was mentioning to you before.
Yeah, that, goddamn, that.
How my friend sent me a copy of the leaked book, and then I went, but we didn't want to believe it, and I was like, that's ridiculous. And then we went to Barnes & Noble to the book release. Understand that that's not me. I don't go to releases. And it was at midnight. We went to Barnes & Noble. Everybody was there.
I've gone to midnight book releases.
I've never gone. I don't do that usually because I'm the worst. I can't do that. I'm not like a good planner, number one. And this night she convinced me, we went.
Oh no, I've never planned to go to book releases or midnight screenings. I just usually end up getting dragged along.
And it was insane, you know, all the preteens that are in love with it.
Cosplaying.
Mm-hmm. So where should we begin?
You were talking about, how this just killed the series about her baby just ruining, and the creepy. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to do this or anything like that, but what is being done to Edward and Bella's child is grooming, right? That is grooming.
Bring that up. Start it.
Okay, so, the grooming aspect. He falls in love with her.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Where am I? No, he grooms her. He's going to be her everything. Whatever she needs, he is going to provide. And I'm there reading it going like, yes, so you will be the source for everything that she needs? Oh, and he's supposed to give her unconditional approval for everything. Do you know how dangerous unconditional approval is? Do you know what an asshole I was as a teenager?
Think about when they get older and she asks him to do the dishes and he's like, well, I had to clean up your shit in your diaper for years, you bitch.
Does she poop?
And think about the fact she'll never be able to go through a crush. She'll never be able to, do you know what I mean? That's just really disturbing. I feel like her whole life has been taken from her.
And, Okay, I looked at that video you sent me about someone who was a former Mormon going through the elements of Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, yeah, they do have their own perfect little commune, right? With Carlisle as the patient and wise patriarch. Carlisle bringing all of these different couples together. Bella converting over to the Cullen family and it's just, it's weird. It's weird.
And I mean, I suggest we're going to link this in, but I suggest that everybody read it. It's a live journal post from way back when about this person who dissects the entire series and applies it to the Mormon religion. And they feel that Edward is meant to be a stand-in for Joseph Smith, this perfect, pure, wise, attractive, intelligent male who is virtuous and is going to provide for this female. It's just so dumb.
It
and
is.
Let's talk about the fact that, I wanted to bring this up, the fact that Edward performs his own C-section on Bella by tearing her apart with his fangs.
It is bizarre. It is just,
You don't find that hot. It's true love, Rainey. Why are you such a miserable bitch that you're taking that away from them? That is love. If you don't find a man who will perform a C-section for you with his own teeth, then you will never be loved.
I don't deserve love. I don't find that attractive.
You don't deserve love, and if you meet a man and you ask him on your first date, listen, if I get pregnant, will you perform a C-section on me with your own teeth? Tell me right now. Don't even think about it. And he says, no, you need to walk away from him.
Okay, here's the thing too. This kid is also literally killing Bella.
His venom so that she'll become a vampire and live forever, which is what she's wanted all along and what she hasn't wanted at all. So, we realize that this is pretty drastic. But can I just say, and I don't know, does this say something about me? But when I found out in that book, I was like, and which is weird. I mean, usually that's what girls want when they read these books, that a man and a woman are going to come together and have kids and it's going to be this perfect family forever. And Twilight is even more enticing because it really is forever because they're immortal and they'll always be together and happy. Whereas, in other cases, eventually life is going to happen to them. But when I found out they were having a kid, it was like, I don't know why, and I still, after all this time, can't articulate it, but I just felt like it ruined it. Because she was so special and important, and she eclipsed, if you will. Eclipse, get it?
Because it's the title of the book.
Yeah, oh my god, did I just make a pun? It ruined it, didn't it?
It ruined it, especially since all of these vampires all over the world were brought to be dazzled by Bella's perfect little spawn. Remember?
And she's a genius, and she's super talented.
Mm-hmm. She starts speaking super young and everything. And Charlie even sees this kid and is like, oh my god, she's amazing and whatever. And
I feel like Bella, for all of her faults, we've invested in her now for 4 books. And it's just weird to have that taken away. And now I felt like it was almost like when they say that you become a parent, your child becomes first about everything, hopefully, before your own needs as well. And it's kind of like that's what unfortunately happened to us, where, that's a beautiful thing, but we still want to stay with the main protagonist.
Oh, but see, here's the thing too, that I'm not saying once you have a kid, you can't be cool mom anymore or anything. I know that if we ever spawned or reproduced Rita. Oh, good God. You do not want me to reproduce, by the way. We're still going to be awesome, kick-ass people, but Bella... Thank you. But like Bella doesn't even take part of mothering her own kid. Rosalie and Alice and Esme are caring for her kid.
Right, because so this is the thing. When you first become a vampire, you go through what they call the newborn stage, where you're ravenous and you're crazy. You're essentially on drugs. You go nuts and you just start making stupid decisions. You're not the same person that you are. You don't see reason. You just want to eat.
Like me when I drink.
Like anybody. Me too. And so they know that they have to keep her away because Renesmee is an anomaly. She has vampire in her, but she's also part human. It's really confusing.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right, and they're terrified that because Bella is going through the newborn stage and she's not mellowed yet, which they're hoping will happen soon, they're afraid that she'll attack Renesmee. So they have to separate her for, I believe, a few months.
But then it turns out Bella doesn't. She doesn't have that newborn hunger, but she still doesn't raise her own damn kid.
And then we find out that Renesmee, in addition to her freaky nature, grows at a rapid pace. So she's like a few months old, and she might as well be a 10-year-old.
Exactly. She doesn't even have to raise her own kid.
I feel like Stephanie Meyer was dared to make a sermon child. And she was like, I'll take that dare. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. Renesmee is not cute. She's not endearing. She's going to be paired up with Jacob, who I thought was supremely lame. By the way,
mm-hmm.
just before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was the drama during this time. You could go into Hot Topic and see all the merchandise that put itself with it. When people were forced to choose between Edward and Jacob.
Oh, and we're still not over it. Everything we have is still divided into, what team are you on, right? Like Team Taylor, Team Kardashian.
Right. But this was the time you could go into Hot Topic,
mm-hmm.
and I swear, you'd have all the merchandise that was for Jacob, and it would say Team Jacob, and you'd have all the merchandise for Edward, and it would say Team Edward. And even during this time, and now I'll say, many years later,
mm-hmm.
I'll still say the same thing. How could you ever fucking be for Team Jacob?
It's the muscles.
Edward had so many flaws, don't get me wrong,
uh-huh.
but Jacob honestly sexually harassed, and I'd even go so far as to say abused her. I mean, he kissed her when she didn't want to be kissed.
Mm-hmm.
He pushed himself upon her all the time, and he was gross. He Edward made decisions for her, but I don't know how to make a good argument for this because they're both awful characters, but I'm shocked then, and I'll still say it now. How could you choose Jacob over Edward? I'd prefer if you said you were Team No One as opposed to Team Jacob.
You know what? I'm Team Mike.
Oh God. But there were people who really felt like the last book was going to have Bella getting together with Jacob, and I was like, have you been reading this? What is the matter with you? It was the stupidest love triangle ever.
It was the craziest non-love triangle.
Right.
Seriously.
But you know what? It was all for naught, because at the very end, now Eclipse is ending, Jacob has imprinted on Renesmee, and we know that when she grows up, and hopefully when she finally gets to the age of consent, who knows what it's like in vampire world, she will join forces with Jacob. They'll get married. God help us if they have children. Who knows now if Edward and Bella can have more kids. I don't think so, now that she's become full-fledged vampire. But everybody will live happily ever after. And, all of that struggle that Stephanie Meyer created was really stupid. And it was really creepy to find out that Jacob was interested in Bella because of something in her genetic code that manifested when she finally had a child. It was his soulmate. He clicks with her.
He imprinted on her, like what baby ducks do on their mothers. And Oh God, the part that really grossed me out, right, is when she's like, oh, this is what it's always been, why I couldn't let Jacob go, it was because I knew this, and now that Renesmee's born, I can finally love him like a brother, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and she's kissed him and had lustful thoughts for him and wondered if she should get together with him. But honestly, we go back to this.
Have we not all lusted after our daughter's boyfriend?
We're not at that stage yet. Once we have kids, you can figure that out. But I feel so bad for Renesmee. I mean, she was annoying. She annoyed me. Her life ignored me. Annoyed me. But,
he could actually say, your mother you kiss just like your mother.
Gross. Gross. And Edward always has hated Jacob. And Jacob, like I said, pushed himself upon Bella. He deliberately antagonized Edward. And now he's going to be Edward's son-in-law. It's just really fucking creepy. And I don't know what she was thinking. And so people, after Breaking Dawn came out, a lot of people flipped out and they were really unhappy. A lot of the diehard fans. And they appealed to Stephenie Meyer. They were like, what were you thinking? And she was defiant and said, this was the plan all along.
That is lamer than George Lucas claiming that Luke and Leia were always twins.
Yeah.
No, you pulled that out of your ass. Own it.
Exactly. And she was like, no, this was how it always was. Apparently, she had written a shorter, I meant to bring this up last time, she had written a shorter novel before Twilight that had covered all of this, all of the events in all of these books. It had been glossed over but included. And she had given it to her sister, and her sister was like, you need to write this officially and publish it. And that's when she ended up breaking it up into multiple books, according to her. And she said that they were always meant to be together.
I'm going to have to take a look at that, because I don't know how anyone in the world could have been like, yep, this is perfect. This is the way it always should have been. Because it's gross, Rita. It's gross and it's disturbing.
I agree.
It's just, oh, okay. I know we're jumping back and forth, but why did James pick that ballet studio?
That's what I said before. What the fuck occurred? So she is the clumsiest bitch that's ever existed. But she ends up saying that when she was smaller, Renee had put her in ballet classes, and of course they went as well as could be expected. And he decides to pick that ballet studio and have her come, and I just think it's really weird.
Yeah. Well, of all
I
of
said before, I don't understand it.
Of all of the things that Bella does, all of her choices and decisions, I don't understand, right? Like, after she breaks up with Edward, all of these other people are trying to, come by and talk to her and everything. Jessica, Angela, Mike, Eric, all of these guys come by to try to cheer her up. Jacob didn't come by. She goes looking for him, knowing that he had feelings for her, and she's like, oh, Jake, we're just friends, right? And I'm like, why?
Should we talk about the rise in popularity of fan fiction as a result of these books? Fanfiction.net, and then there was a site, Twilight+ed.com. And all these people, all these decisions that we're disliking, this choice of Jacob, her going to approach Jacob. There's a lot of people who also write fan fiction from that first book of the whole scene with James. They change all of the problems that we're talking about and write these massive things of Twilight, these fan fiction tales.
The fan fiction, in my opinion, is at times superior to the original.
100%. I went through a long period of time where I would read the fan fiction and I would be like, wow, and the person would write so well, and I would think to myself, why the fuck are you wasting your talent on Twilight when you could be publishing because you're amazing? But I do appreciate it because at the end of the day, when we keep going back to why was Twilight popular, why did we read it, what's the draw, there was a draw there, and the fact that the person could tap into that and then do the prompt better than Stephenie Meyer, that was something that was worth reading.
Well, also, the thing that I point out is, and it's there too, like how Twilight, for all of its flaws, for all of Stephenie Meyer's lacking as a writer, there is something that taps into that annoying 15-year-old girl inside of me that does think that, ooh, he's so broody. He's, that mysterious guy that you're like, oh, I wonder what he's thinking.
Yeah, he's going to take care of me, and he loves me so much that he's watching out for me, and he's going to make sure that everything's okay, and he anticipates all of my wants and desires, and he's aiming to deliver them to me. That is very, very, very appealing.
A boyfriend with a car. That was something that I really wanted in high school because I had to take the bus sometimes. A boyfriend with a car would have been very appealing. And, I don't know. I mean, like... Yeah. Okay, so we explained why we liked it, and even though I am no longer a young spring chicken, you can still be a spring chicken, Rita. You're still a baby. Okay. We can still look back and see why, right? But what is the appeal for Twilight Moms? Or as Rita puts it, go ahead, please. Your description was just so perfect.
Now I don't remember what I said. Middle-aged moms who were obsessed with Twilight.
Yes. Who are these women who, had sex, got married, maybe not in that order, had children, who are fighting over, and I think they were the ones who really pushed the Team Edward, Team Jacob.
I agree with you. So let me be honest, even though it's a little embarrassing. I was obsessed with Twilight fanfiction. I read a lot of it, and I'll never forget.
It's okay. I read Harry Potter fanfiction. That's okay.
That's a little bit better. Don't even start. But I remember reading one story, and it was written by a woman who was middle-aged, and she was a nurse. And I'm not even going to get into it, but she wrote this story, and...
Was it good?
It was okay. It was boring, though, and I guess people were getting on her case for taking a while to get to interesting parts, and she was such a bitch about it. And she was also a big bitch about the medical aspects that she incorporated into it.
Oh, dear God. You're writing fan fiction, woman.
I know, and she's just an example of this very, like my mother was always very busy when I was growing up. She worked full time, she had 3 kids, and she didn't have a lot of time for herself, and she didn't have a lot of time for hobbies. And maybe she should have. I mean, maybe she that was her mistake. But I think that a lot of moms, and even when your kids have flown the nest, I mean, I think that a lot of moms pick up hobbies, and it's just interesting to me that there's a lot of moms who decided to pick up Twilight as a hobby. Interesting to me is they were very nasty and cliquish, and I remember reading an article that was written about it and all the Twilight moms that were in the fan fiction world, and that they were very cliquish. And they felt like they were right, and they were very opinionated. And I think that the draw for them was maybe there's something to it that a vampire is immortal. Right? And this vampire can live forever. And Bella has this capacity to eventually be turned into a vampire and live forever. And it's this perfect love story of this guy who can anticipate all of your wants and desires and wants to fulfill you and is going to fulfill you in all these different ways, that maybe once you become a middle-aged wife and you realize the realities of life and your marriage, maybe you're a little unhappy in it, which is totally natural and normal. And you think to yourself, I wish that my husband were like Edward, this man who could take care of me and figure all these things out and want to make me happy and do all these things and sacrifice himself for it. And also this idea that once you're middle-aged, you start to, right though, you start to realize your mortality a little bit more. I mean, you all know it, but this is why men go out and buy sports cars. Women aren't immune to it either. Women go through it as well. And there's this concept of living forever that I'm sure, and living forever happily ever after is very appealing. What do you think?
Okay, I have to admit that when I was younger, the idea that when I fall in love, this guy is going to 100% focus on me and I'm going to be his life is very, very appealing, right?
Right.
But then I had a boyfriend who focused a little too much into me, and that is fucking scary. You know? I mean, like...
It's too intense.
Yeah, right? Like, when he's memorized your schedule and, you know, like, knows your best friend and you like, you mean so-and-so and like all of these things. And then it's like, dude, I need you to like step off, go have a hobby and stuff, you know, like hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's like to be married, but maybe, you know, when you get married, you kind of take each other for granted. And maybe one of the reasons why they really like Twilight is because they want that attention again. Like, you know, your husband probably, instead of listening to you, is looking over your shoulder and watching what's on TV. And you want a stalker like Edward who's going to watch you when you sleep. I mean, I'm sure teenage me probably would have loved that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about it now, I'm like, ew, don't watch me when I sleep. Don't watch me while I'm wearing my nighttime retainer and passed out. And probably have a tequila bottle in bed with me. You don't need to see that. The wrappers of my night cheese around my pillows. Please don't do that. But maybe these women do. Maybe this is what they want, you know? Like, I don't know. At the same time, I don't understand brides who want to get rings with Twilight quotes carved into them. Have you seen those, Rita?
Yes. So dumb. Imagine getting a Twilight tattoo.
You got a Twilight tattoo?
What?
You got a Twilight tattoo? Okay, we can no longer be friends. Thank you, everyone. No. This is our last podcast.
I said imagine getting a Twilight tattoo.
Oh, thank God.
I think that's what I was... Yeah, I think that we're agreeing on that point, that Edward is someone who is, you know, he's the guy who will give you everything and wants to take care of you and will go to do anything for you. And that's very appealing. And I think, like, you know, like we were saying, these moms who have these kids and who sacrifice themselves to make sure that their kids have happier lives, there's something appealing in the idea of this guy who's going to take care of you.
Now, try to understand the Twilight moms who are into Jacob.
No, I can't. They're not even worth discussing. I'm sorry, you're a fucking loser if you were Team Jacob. Okay. I know that's a generalization. Those are fighting words, but I stand by them. And you're an even bigger loser if you're someone who's mature enough to have children and you're going to say that Jacob is somebody who's worthy of being one. First of all, they both suck. Let's get a grip. What you have here, I know you wanted to address Stephanie's.
Oh, her Spotify list.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second. I'll be right back. So are you sure you don't want to like delve into the psychology of a woman who is obsessed with Jacob Black, who's like ostensibly had sex?
I feel like...
Or is it just going to devolve into bashing?
I mean, it probably would devolve into bashing, but I just don't see anything that's Edward is complicated and he's flawed and he's a mess.
He drives a Volvo.
And someone liking Edward. I can't understand someone liking Jacob.
I was told it's this, right? Jacob rides motorcycles, Edward drives a Volvo.
Yeah, but Jacob, like, there's nothing. So, okay, that automatically, suggests that Jacob is a bad boy. And that, he's this rebellious character. He's a whiny little bitch. He really honestly is. He's a whiny little bitch.
Okay, let's go to the Spotify list. I didn't know that Stephenie Meyer had a Spotify list of the music she listened.
She had a playlist for every book.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she claimed were the songs that she listened to when she wrote specific scenes.
She would fucking listen to the radio edit of Creep. What? What's wrong? What's wrong, Meyer? Huh? What's wrong? The non-clean version too much for you?
For her Mormon sensibility.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry, I'm an asshole.
She's a loser. Creep, there's nothing bad in it, really.
Maybe. I think that was it. I think that might have been it.
What's interesting, and I know, again, this is jumping around from what we're saying, but a lot of people point to Twilight's success and its fame and all the people being into it because for being such a non-sexual book, I mean, there's no explicit sex or anything like it. Mm-hmm. It ends up being a very sensual book. It does, really. The whole series. Sex is honestly the forefront. Bella wants to have it. Bella wants to hook up all the time. Bella wants to get it on. And Edward's always like, no, wait, pause, wait until we're married. And even when they're married, he doesn't want to have it because he's afraid, because he'll go to his baser natures and he's afraid that he'll hurt her. And
he wanted to change her. He wanted to change her before they have sex so he could unleash himself on her.
Right. But she insists that she wants to remain human so she can completely feel it.
And then he breaks the bed.
He breaks the bed, right. Which is just so ridiculous. But I think it's really interesting, and there's a lot of psychology to go into that, right? That Stephenie Meyer is this Mormon, and she's repressed and probably a little uptight. Sorry, but it's all true. Listening to Radiohead on radio edit. Because God forbid there's a few fucks in a song. And yet, she's got this book, and I think that's why I loved it too. I mean, you wanted Bella and Edward to get it on. You loved every scene when they made out and Edward got a little too carried away. There was something that was very thrilling about it.
Oh, yeah, especially the whole thing of like how Bella can let herself go because Edward will always know when to pull back. It is
when to stop.
Yeah, it is a bit. There is something in there to know that, like, hey, I don't have any responsibilities. I can do whatever I want, and you will, be the one.
But there's just so much sex on every page without it, with his cold lips. And Stephenie Meyer, I'll give her this, she's very descriptive about those moments that you can even feel them yourself reading it.
Oh, this woman uses... Okay, is it bad to say she uses too many adjectives?
No, it's not bad to say she uses way too many adjectives. But yet, in those moments, you can feel it yourself, and it's very, very sensual.
She, like I said, she knows how to tap in to that teenager inside of me. I admit it.
Me too. But going back to that song list, mm-hmm. It's sort of reminiscent of Real song list, right? Mm-hmm. That was my pissed off moment when when I read Real and I realize that she has a song list. that started becoming a lot more common after Twilight. A lot of authors were like, well, here's the list of songs that complemented, or here's the list of songs that I was listening to when I wrote it. And I'm just like, done. And it's just something that grabs on and is trying to, I don't know what to say.
She is the type of person who would listen to Dido.
She made Blue October very famous, but at the same time, very not famous, because I haven't heard anything from Blue October since.
Yeah, since Twilight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we've already done it, but how about the movie versions? Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, right? What did we think?
So I think this is interesting only because the first movie came out, right? And it had that director, I can't think of her name, but she's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, the movie it's like through a filter, it's got a green tint to it on purpose, and the music that's used in it, and all these stylistic choices. I actually went to see it in the movie theater.
I did. I saw Twilight in the movie theater too. Every single one of them. I have to admit, I actually saw every single Twilight movie there was.
I saw Twilight, and I believe I saw New Moon in the theater, and that was it. And so the first one, I think her name was like Catherine Arrow, something like that. Anyway, the first one I thought it's horrible, but there's something watchable about it.
It wasn't so slick.
Yeah. And I mean, there was, for the most part, the acting was horrendous. Robert Pattinson was horrendous. Kristen Stewart is horrendous.
Making her derp face throughout the entire movie. Her,
Well, I hear you now. Her excessive blinking.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're so mean. Do you know, like, how mean we are?
This is valid, though. She sucked.
She didn't get better in Snow White and the Huntsman.
You're breaking up. Yo, you are dirty for mentioning that. Don't forget that's how she broke up with Robert Pattinson, because she hooked up with the director of the movie.
That doesn't matter anymore. She's gay now. Catherine Hardwicke. It was the director.
Thank you. I knew it was Catherine, and I knew it started with an H. That was about it. So, yeah, I mean, the movie, it sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing I can really say about it. I mean, except for the fact that, again, it drew in a massive crowd and people were obsessed. And I think that, and this is something that we could probably go into more detail about later, but I think that the book success and the movie success was what led to 50 Shades of Grey being finally picked up and being so marketable.
Can you believe, though, the original choices that Stephenie Meyer wanted was Henry Cavill for Edward, Superman, and Emily Browning, indie movie princess, for Bella. Do you think the movies would have been better with them?
No.
That's just it? No?
I think that I don't think that there was any performance or acting talent that could overcome the subject material. I think it would have wholly sucked.
And, alright, so, you have to brace yourself, Rita, because it's 10 o'clock where you are. have you heard rumors that there might be a Twilight reboot?
Not until you sent me your notes, and I said to myself, what the fuck? And I wanted to wait for this moment. I wasn't going to ask you until we were recording. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Explain.
So, it turns out that some people think that it's time for a Twilight reboot. Like, do it right and everything. There is a Salon article that there is a Twilight reboot, and in an interview with US Magazine, Robert Pattinson says that he's curious about it. He doesn't want to be in it, but he's curious. He's like, what, why? Because, you know, no one hates Twilight as much as Robert Pattinson does. And he doesn't even know what would they do. He thinks that Edward is a serial killer. So for him, he's just like, why? Do you want to reboot, Rita? Do you want a Twilight reboot? It's okay if you want to audition to be Bella.
I don't understand the purpose of it.
To be more faithful to the book? I don't know. Turn it into a mini-series like they're doing with Shadowhunters?
I don't understand it.
Follow the adventures of Jacob and Renesmee.
Hello?
Yeah? Don't you want to follow in the adventures of Jacob and Renesmee?
Nope.
Oh, come on!
Not in the slightest.
They're probably playing endless games of fetch right now, as we speak.
I literally would protest if I heard that the reboot in any way focused on Jacob and Renesmee.
Hey, you know what? You're probably way too young to love Charmed as much as I did, but there are rumors that Charmed is going to get rebooted.
So listen, I just opened up an article that's about Twilight getting rebooted.
See?
Yeah.
It's legit. I am not making this shit up.
Do you feel like it's definitely going to happen? They're saying that they're going to do it. They think it's going to happen. Kristen Stewart gives her full support as well.
Kristen Stewart's fucking retarded.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, she's in those stupid commercials now for, what is it, Coco Chanel?
Yeah.
And people are honestly pissed because she sucks. And people were making me laugh because in all the comments, they're like, could she close her mouth?
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's got her Dirk face.
Yeah. I just feel like, honestly, I'm confused because I don't understand how, you know, if Hollywood is that needy right now for material, there's really no organic material to come by. And if there aren't any, you know, materials that they could choose to create something new, then you're telling me that of all the old things in Hollywood's past that have been made into movies or to TV shows, that their best thing they can, you know, use for inspiration is Twilight. That's very sad.
I think you should finish your series that you were working on and sell that to Hollywood. I would give them all of my money to see that on the screen.
Oh, thank you. I love you.
But then I am also someone who watched every single Twilight movie in the movie theater, so what do I have for taste? I honestly hurt people's feelings when I said that I do not find The Notebook romantic.
I'm with you though on that. The Notebook was, so I remember when The Notebook came out, I didn't want to see it. And my friend kept saying, you need to see it. And I kept saying, I'm not seeing that. It looks lame. It's Nicholas Sparks. You know, he's an emotional villain, and I don't want to watch it. And then she finally rented it on Blockbuster and forced me to watch it. And I cried. But I still I'm convinced that it sucks.
Oh, you cried for the same reasons I did when I cried, because James Garner and Gina Rowland were really great as the old couple who...
Yes, exactly.
I cried for them. Young them, I hated. But that's... Well, I don't know. We'll do that on, like, Valentine's Day to say, like, why we hate The Notebook.
So going... I would love to do that. So going back to Twilight and this concept of abuse that we've been talking about, you know, in the past episode. A lot of people feel like Edward was abusive and their relationship was an abusive relationship. Do we think that Edward was an abuser? Almost every single psychologist says so. Analyzing this. But what do we think?
Okay. I would say that some of the things that Edward did was just so shitty. Like, not telling her that she's pretty when she's just, like, basically begging for a compliment, right?
What about the time that he disables her car because he gets a hint she wants to go see Jacob?
Yeah, like that. I think from the outside looking in, how Bella, like, abandoned her friends. Well, friends, because I agree with you. Bella has no friends. And just only hangs out with Edward's family is really... It's creepy.
Right.
How Bella just, like, falls apart when Edward leaves. I should have mentioned this. The thing that made me so angry is how Edward abandoned her in the woods in New Moon. Because he knows, right? He knows that she has no sense of direction.
Right. He also knows that there's dangerous people that are out there. You know, he believes, right, the first book ends, James is killed, whatever, but Victoria is still out there missing.
Exactly.
Victoria is James's soulmate, or whatever they call it in the book. And so he is now furious, and she is driven to exact revenge, and Edward is aware of this danger, and he's sort of like, whatever, she's better off without me. And go by dark tree in the dark.
And the things that he said, you know, like, will you, you just prattle on about this? And he dismisses her concerns. Those are things that I do not find are healthy in a relationship. And then there's just the general creepiness that is Edward, how he broke into her home to listen to her talk in her sleep before they even became a couple.
Right.
What do you think, Rita?
I think that I certainly think that they have an abusive relationship. I think that both of them aren't particularly likable characters, and so it's harder, I think, for a person to read the book and come away from it thinking, oh, this was an abusive relationship, because there are a lot of people who read it and just like Bella. And so they just kind of take it.
You know, Bella...
Or there's people who read it.
Bella isn't a nice person either. I mean, Edward tells her, like, I don't want you to become a vampire. I know that, you know, you want to be with me forever, but I wouldn't wish this upon anyone. And she turns around and goes, like, well, if you won't do it, I'll find someone else who will. That's also not being a good girlfriend.
Yeah, and what about her? Yeah, exactly. She's on his case about it. He's very clear about his spiritual beliefs about the whole situation, and she just disregards them. And there's also the thoughts that she has about her group of friends, about how she feels about Jess and Angela and that whole group, and she has a lot of nasty thoughts about them.
Yeah, and I think both of them are not, like, a healthy relationship, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess at the same time, when I was in high school, I also, screamed out, "But Mommy, I'll die without him. I love him."
Yeah.
I'm getting so angry when my mom would just laugh at me. But now I know why.
I think it's complicated because it's set with these characters at a certain age, and yet they're at a certain age, but they're dealing with a very adult relationship and very adult issues. Because you understand on one hand that every girl, I think, to a certain extent, goes through that time when they're a teenage girl and they become so obsessed with a love interest and they would do anything for them and they're the center of their world. And no, it's not particularly healthy, but I think that a lot of girls go through it, to different ends. There's some who are very unhealthy with it, and I think there are some girls who go through it for a couple of months and then they can move on from it.
Hey, but Edward's 90.
Well, that's what I mean. He's 90, but he's trapped in a teenager's body, and even though he's 90 and his family is immortal and everything, they decide to spend their days going back to high school. So,
oh my God,
you know what I mean, though, that they're teenagers and they're going through something that it's understandable, I think, for a teenage girl to be enamored with their love interest and feel like it's the end of the world if they're pried apart. On the other hand, they're both faced with adult choices and they want to be treated like adults. Do you know what I mean?
True.
I'm not explaining it
well. No, I get it. But it's still in the back of my mind because I went and I listened to our first podcast before this one. I still love your voice when you criticize Edward for not minding going back to high school. I would just be like, fuck you, Carlisle. I am not going back to high school. I'm going to find something else. I don't know, going to... What does Edward do?
It makes no sense for this group of vampires to be like, yeah, we're going to move from town to town and go back to high school. And, Carlisle can play the town doctor and Esme can be his wife and we can be all adopted. I mean, it's just so strange. If I was immortal, I wouldn't go back to high school. I don't really get that.
Oh, Edward's a musician. Why doesn't Edward go, do music or something? Right? He's got a skill, no?
Sure. He could do anything.
They've got money. They don't even have to, earn money, no? I don't know. Oh, how should we close this out? Who are our picks for the reboot? Let's play that game. Who would we want to be Bella, Edward, Jacob in the reboot? Oh no, I pushed you too far. You look like you're gonna reach across the screen and punch me.
No, that's not it. I just feel, first of all, I feel so detached from young Hollywood right now. I don't know if it's that I'm getting older or if they all suck or what, but I don't even know anybody anymore. And second of all, the concept is so insane that there's going to be, if there's a reboot, I don't even know how to react to that. I don't get it. I don't know if there's even enough material to offer to lend itself to another reboot or another interpretation to it. I don't even know. Do you know any in young Hollywood? Because I feel like I don't know anybody anymore.
Somebody Hadid? Like Bella Hadid? I don't know.
They're too old.
Oh, are they? I don't know anymore.
Sure, they're too old. She's supposed to be what, a junior?
Yeah.
Sophomore?
No, she was a junior. She transferred her senior year.
They're still too old. Don't you think they're too old?
Oh, whatever. Luke Perry was 40 for 90210?
I love Luke Perry. He's such a bad actor, but I love him. And I was so happy to see him in Riverdale.
Oh my god, Dark Archie. Okay, we need to save Dark Archie for another day.
I haven't seen the second season yet. I still have to finish some of the first, but I was so happy to see him again. I was like, Luke Perry, I love you. Oh my god, do you know how much I love Luke Perry?
I love Luke Perry, and I watched Oz because of him.
He's in that? I never watched that.
Oh, yeah, like prison movies are my thing. Oh, okay, how about everyone from American Pie? They were all like 30s when they did that franchise.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that trend in Hollywood that older people play, usually college-age kids who play high school kids. I mean, I believe that Sarah Michelle Gellar, excuse me, I feel like everybody called her Sarah Michelle Gellar during Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then people were like, no, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Anyway, she was 20 to play Buffy, so that's a thing, for sure. But I feel like Bella and Gigi Hadid, number one, are too old, and also number two, are too overexposed.
This is true. Should we go with like
for it to work, and there's no way it's going to work, but for it to work, they would all have to be new, brand new.
Oh, I was going to tell you Zayn Malik for Edward, just to see that expression on your face.
That would be awesome. That was so fucked up. It's just interesting, though, as we're coming to a close discussing this mess of a book, that there is still so much to talk about when it comes to Twilight and all of the psychology, whether or not it was intended by Sarah Michelle. I'm starting to say Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar ghost wrote Twilight. The truth has come out. The cabal has been broken.
Long Vampire. Whether or not it was intended by Stephanie Meyer, there is a lot of psychological content in there. And that's what makes it really interesting to look at. We've got the religious angle. We've got the angle of the missing mother. We've got the angle of the attentive father. I don't know. I mean, there's just so much to it.
So much. I mean, whether or not she said, it's true what she said, that she didn't intend any of it, it is there, right?
And I have to tell you that I can't bring myself to throw out my copies of it. I would feel bad doing that. Oh,
me too. Me too.
I don't know what that is. I have to tell you that time in my life when I was in college and my friends were obsessed with it and we would talk about Edward, though I recognized that the books were poorly written, and though I recognized that there were problematic elements to their relationship, there was something so addictive and fun about that and about talking about what would happen in those books. I think about that, and that was really fun for me.
It's still fun talking about it now. Like in this podcast with someone who loves it as much as I do, it's still super fun to talk about it and question and be like, oh my god, there has to be a meaning to this. Or even just to bash how shitty Renesmee was as a character.
Which try to understand why it was so popular and how it yielded 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh my god, I don't think we can talk about 50 Shades of Grey. I don't think there's enough alcohol in the world.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it is about that either. I will say that I would read Twilight, and some of the scenes would give me chills, and I would be all about Edward, and all these misgivings aside, I'd be like, I really want them to fuck up because there's something about it. I remember reading 50 Shades of Grey, already knowing, and believe it or not, it was a huge controversial issue. People on Goodreads, for example, were freaking the fuck out about these fan fiction stories that were becoming published works. And they were going on immediately and giving them, I don't know if you can give a 0 star on Goodreads, but a 1 star.
Yeah, same thing in Amazon. You can only give 1 star.
Yeah. And they were infuriated by these stories that were originally fan fiction that were then repurposed with original names. It was the same story. They felt like it was plagiarism. They felt like it was dishonest to take another author's work, whether or not you felt it was subpar, and to steal the template and just, some people changed it to be, so for example, just because we're talking about it, 50 Shades of Grey, instead of Edward being a vampire, he is someone who's heavily into BDSM.
It's not BDSM.
What is it?
Christian Grey is not even doing BDSM. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but it's not BDSM.
Well, a lot of people were, that's a whole other topic that people feel like he's not an accurate representative of that whole thing, but whatever. That his
issues,
inclination, have replaced the vampire issue in the original book. And so whatever. I mean, people feel like it's dishonest. And I guess I agree with that. And because 50 Shades of Grey was suddenly picked up, a lot of other Twilight fan fiction was then repurposed into, and I say this with quotation marks, original work.
What was other Twilight fan fiction that was published?
Oh my god, there's a lot.
Really?
Check Goodreads. And it will be tagged.
Really? Okay.
Flipping out. None of them I don't think ever became as popular as 50 Shades of Grey, but they were published and masking themselves to be original pieces of work, and they're not really.
Fascinating. Okay, I need to find this. Oh my god, I feel like this is Jack the Ripper all over again. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Oh, right.
Fascinating.
There's something called Last Tango in Forks. What is it? Like a shitty Last Tango in Paris?
Oh shit, I read that.
Okay, I'll read it.
It's terrible.
Of course it's terrible. Of course it's terrible. Come on now. Of course it is.
Oh my god, you'll probably think this is interesting. I hope you do. So, there is another fan fiction story that's published, and the author of it, her handle was Tara Sumi, so Tarasueme, and I believe the title of it was The Dominant. And it was the same thing that Edward was into S&M. And, he entered this arrangement with Bella, and it was really popular, it was really well written. And then E.L. James comes out with 50 Shades of Grey, which I believe is called, like,
Master of the Universe.
Master of the Universe, right.
I said that way too fast. Can we redo it and pretend that I didn't know it off the top of my head?
And people felt like she copied from Tara Sumi. And Tara Sumi was really pissed off.
Oh, it is. It's even in Goodreads in the list.
What is?
The Submissive.
Oh, The Submissive. Yeah. So I guess at the last time I checked, she hadn't published it.
No, but, it is.
Anyway, people felt like E.L. James copied from her because Tara Sumi was the original one. So that's just another instance of E.L. James copying from her. And by the way, did you notice that E.L. James published Grey, right? Christian's perspective. And she's going to be publishing another book from his perspective.
Okay, I know you accused me of owning Grey, but I actually read Grey, skimmed it, and all I found was over 100 pages of Christian Grey talking to his penis. What more is there? What more is there to add? I feel about it the same way you feel about the Twilight reboot. Like, why?
Well, do you want the Twilight reboot?
I just want to see how awful it's going to be.
Oh my god, you do.
I just want to see how bad. I want to see how bad it is. Like, don't you want to see just how terrible it's going to be? Like when they talk about a reboot of Cruel Intentions, don't you want to see how awful it's going to be?
Cruel Intentions is a totally different story. Imagine the money that Stephenie Meyer is going to make because of this reboot.
Oh.
Doesn't that piss you off?
Okay, fine.
You're going to tell me that Hollywood really has no original content?
Well, that's why I'm telling you, bitch. Finish writing your series, and then we'll go shop it for an agent, and then, I don't know, we'll...
Yeah, I don't think that my series is that unique. The glorified pretty woman.
Fine.
Okay. That's how I feel about it. I mean, you know, it's different because Vivian in Pretty Woman is sort of, they never go into the darkness of being a prostitute, and they never really go into her experience as a prostitute. You just sort of forget it. Right? Like don't
you dare give your characters herpes in this series. I will cut you if you do that.
Yeah. Do you know, did I tell you that I'm writing a story for a contest?
Really? I'm so excited. Okay.
I doubt I'll win it, but it's for so basically the theme of the contest is Western. Which I don't know how to write, but I'm going to try to figure it out.
I was going to say, Rita, do you even know how to write a Western? Do you know how to write a horse?
Like, I wouldn't even know the terminology. I'm going to have to wing it and hope that people don't realize.
Okay, just don't spell, like, little lady with the L-I''L, okay? No, nobody actually says that.
Maybe I should write Twilight fan fiction, but in this instance, Edward is a cowboy.
Well, you know,
I think I'm really original and make Bella the cowgirl.
Well, I was going to say, you could make her
Edward is the cosmopolitan, entrepreneur who doesn't know anything about country life. He stumbled on her farm. He needs her help, and she takes care of him.
Oh, I was just going to say, why don't you do a mashup of Tombstone and Twilight together? You know, Edward can be Wyatt Earp. Just go.
I don't know why I let myself get roped into these things, why I signed up to do them, because I got an email about it, because the last contest that I did, it's run by the same person. And she emailed me again, and she said, oh, we're doing a contest for Westerns. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Why did I do that? Because I know nothing about horses. I know nothing about farms.
No, I got you for this. Go watch Tombstone with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer. Put the characters of Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp as Bella and Edward, and just make it work.
Try.
Hey, was I the only one who saw Tombstone and saw more romantic tension between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday?
They definitely had a bromance.
I know, right? Right? Mm-hmm. And Bella could be dying of, like, tuberculosis. Jacob can be the prostitute Big Nose Kate. Okay, I think we're done. I think we're done with this, right?
So what are we going to talk about next? So do we have any closing thoughts on Twilight?
Don't reboot it. Don't give Stephenie Meyer more money.
And this is my ultimate question for you.
Okay.
Say that you meet a new friend and they know nothing about American culture.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, listen, I'm looking for a trashy book.
Okay.
About, a trashy romance. It doesn't have to be that good. I just want something sensual and whatever. Would you recommend Twilight?
Yes. Yes, I would. Over Real in a heartbeat.
Me too. I agree.
I would.
Any other closing thoughts?
I would take a bullet for you to save you from reading Real. I'd be like, no! Oh, actually, I would use Real to take the bullet.
That's good.
I got that James Dean daydream look in my eye. You got that red lip classic thing that I like when we go crashing down. We come back every time.
I'm insane.